Hello, everyone, and welcome back to It All Starts With a Wish podcast. My name is Rachel.
And I'm Mark.
And it's starting to feel a little bit like spring outside.
Almost. We're getting there. We're moving in the right direction.
We're going there. We're a little laggy, because at the time of recording, we have sprung forward an hour.
We have, indeed. Well, and you all will be listening after the day that we sprung forward, unless you're in one of those states that I think...
There's some states who don't do it.
Is on to think. Yeah, like Arizona, I think, is one state that does not recognize daylight savings time.
So if we went to Arizona right now,
there's even more of a gap. Because you're dealing with a different time zone.
Right.
But
like it would be an hour behind.
I want to say it's Arizona, because if I recall correctly, when we went to the Grand Canyon, it was during daylight savings time, and it should have been 2 hours difference, but it was a 3-hour difference because they don't recognize daylight savings time.
I didn't know that was an option to
state that
recognize it or not.
Yeah. I mean, it's
so
all
it's
made
a made-up thing.
Well, it is all made up. Time is a made-up construct.
No,
it's
I
a human
know.
construct.
Okay, so we had this conversation
Time
yesterday.
zones are also human constructs.
I very much asked, don't the seasons already do that? With, like, days get longer and shorter? And you said yes. So I was like, okay, so why do we have
the number of daylight hours changes throughout the course of the year based upon the seasons.
Yeah.
Us moving the clocks around does not add an extra hour of daylight.
No, it just shifts
magically.
Where the daylight
the
is.
The sun's like, oh, wait a minute, we bumped ahead. Oh, there must be another extra hour of daylight.
I understand
as
that.
The sun
it just shifts it.
As the Earth rotates on its axis, it's like, oh, wait a minute, we just sprung ahead an hour. Right. That's an extra hour of daylight. Mr. Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, you're going to shine down on me 1 extra hour.
Mark,
no, you're just shifting your daylight hours.
I understand. But I'm saying, wouldn't the days be longer anyway in the summer? Wouldn't the sun set later?
Yes.
Oh,
because that's how the seasons work.
Because I know that's
summer,
you
have longer days. Winter, you have shorter days.
Well, that's the
equinox.
Can you let me
twice
speak?
Twice a year on the equinox,
equal
vernal
days,
and autumnal.
Equal number of night and day
hours.
hours.
12 hours of daylight,
yes.
12 hours of darkness.
Yes. All right, I'm done talking about this now. Because you didn't let me ask my question.
Well, go ahead, ask your question.
It wasn't really a question. It's more of a comment.
Yeah.
There are some people who really like the spring forward because they want the later sunset. But it would be a later sunset, just not as late as it is with daylight savings. Not 8 o'clock. It would still be 7 o'clock.
Right.
Not 8 o'clock.
The sun is still out for the number of hours, the same number of hours.
I'm just saying, it doesn't push it as late as they want it to be.
The difference is that when the sun rises and the sun sets is an hour different, yes. But the hours are literally still going to be the same number of daylight hours.
I understand.
It's just a later sunrise and a later sunset.
That are really for it or really against it. So.
Well, that's the principle, is to push it an hour back. So instead of the sun on the longest day setting at 7 o'clock as it should in standard time. So we should just
keep it this time and not fall back to make it darker. Like, let's make the daylight savings time the normal time. And not fall back to make it darker.
I mean, standard time worked for people for literally 100 years.
I'm just saying,
so
I'd rather have the sun. All right, whatever. Moving on. I'm done with this conversation.
As scary as that conversation was, we are going to talk about something scary. The scariest rides in Disney World.
Yes. And not scary like terrifying. More scary like maybe you should think twice before bringing a little one on there.
There are no truly scary rides in Disney.
I beg to differ.
I don't think there are.
Dinosaur is terrifying.
We'll talk about that. I don't think that there's any like truly scary rides in Disney like you may get in other places. Like, they're not really like, it's still they're not like
it's not like, horror nights, like Halloween horror nights.
No.
And it's going to be like pop out at you and like
right, horrific.
Crazy.
Yes.
But for some young ones, some of these things may be a little too intense. Maybe not scary.
Correct.
Intense.
Right.
Or a little shocking.
And the general premise of this podcast is family related. Mm-hmm. So these are just rides that maybe you should consider not second guessing, but giving it a little extra thought about your child and what your child likes and does not like before you go on those rides. Because making that decision to go on that ride could
make an aversion of rides in general. Yeah. And if they're not ready for it.
What fun is it if you're not going to ride any rides, right? And, anyways.
Before we get to Dinosaur, which we'll talk about later.
Dinosaur.
No one else knows that song, Mark.
Maybe they do. Shout out to Super Simple Songs.
The first one that pops out to me is Haunted Mansion. Now, you might not bring a little one on this anyway because it might be a little boring. However, as I get a little older, I'm thinking like 4, 5, 6. The whole general theming of it can be a little scary.
I mean, that's kind of the premise of it. It's a haunted mansion.
But it's not like happy haunts. It's like haunted. Like coffins, doors.
999 happy haunts, man.
They're not happy. He's trying to get out of his coffin.
No, they're happy.
No, those pictures in the beginning don't look very happy.
So, two of the primary Imagineers who worked on the Haunted Mansion were Mark Davis, renowned Imagineer, and Claude Coates, two pretty famous Imagineers. Mark Davis especially with like Pirates of the Caribbean, like all your well-known rides. He's one of the ones that worked on it. And they had two very different perspectives on what the Haunted Mansion should be.
Yeah.
One, I believe it was Claude, was really more for like scary, like let's really scare people. Mark Davis is
like
more
a haunted house.
Of a fun, playful kind of dude. And so when you actually ride the ride, you see the dividing line between the two techniques. Where Claude kind of focused more on the first half of the ride, the scarier parts of the ride, you would argue, where kind of everything is uncertain. And then once the ghosts materialize and things start to get a little bit more funner and they're dancing in the ballroom and kind of that whole graveyard scene really is a Mark Davis invention where it's an upbeat song and they're playing around in the graveyard and it still can be kind of scary, but it's more of a playful scary.
I was going to say, if we go even right back to the beginning, honestly, that first, you're not even on the ride, you're just in the queue. And your stretching room. I mean, the whole premise is very dark. It's that dark humor, I guess, and a lot of kids won't get that anyway. But when...
Step into the dead center of the room, please.
Yes.
Look alive.
But when Master Gracie... all the lights go out. There's a big scream.
Yeah.
That can be a little... If you don't know it's coming that first time, you're like, whoa. As an adult, you can be like, oh, whoa, that was crazy. But I have heard kids start crying.
Yeah, it can be definitely scary.
I'm not saying like little kids. I'm saying like 7, 8-year-olds.
No, I'm not refuting that it is scary, and that's why it is on this list.
No, I know, but I'm saying like right off the bat, I feel like you need to know going into this that there's going to be sudden darkness, loud noises. You know, it's scary. The premise of it is ghosts. So if they don't like the dark, if they don't like creepy music, creepy sounds, it's all of that stuff. I would even go as far as like really bright flashing lights. Just that first entrance where there's a lightning storm and there's a lot of bright flashes. Anything like that to like keep in mind. It does get happier towards the end, but I definitely
more fun. I don't know about
no, not happy. More a little more playful. Yes. I remember going back to like one of our first episodes. We talked about this and how my first experience with this ride was not. I was kind of scared, and I'm a thrill person. Always have been since I was little. This wasn't a thrilling scare. This was like a scare.
Yeah, no, that's worth noting that this is not a roller coaster ride. It is an Omni-Mover ride. It moves slow. It is a very dark ride, so it's not scary in the sense that it's a thrilling ride.
Right.
In that sense.
It's the theming that's scary.
Yes.
That is scarier.
After all, it's the Haunted Mansion.
It is the Haunted Mansion.
Sticking in Magic Kingdom. Yeah. The Hall of Presidents. No, I'm joking.
Are you? You know, this day and age, that could be pretty scary.
It sure can be. Anyways, Space Mountain. Yeah. This is a classic ride. This is a roller coaster, as they like to say, a roller coaster type ride.
I don't understand why they say that.
Because that's the
a roller coaster type ride in the dark.
Yes. A few reasons why I bring this up. One, this is an old ride. This dates back to the 1970s originally. I think that there are parts of the track that date back to the 1970s.
True.
There are some moments where, you know, we've hit some brakes on that ride and kind of you can feel it pop a little bit on the track. It is in the dark. I have no doubts. This is Walt Disney World. They are extra cautious with everything that they do.
It's not going to break.
You can never refute accidents do happen, right?
Yeah.
Things happen, but they are extremely cautious and extremely safe. They do care about your life. They care about their image. They don't want you getting hurt.
Yeah.
But with that being said, it is a ride in the dark. It is a roller coaster ride. You are going to get jerked around a little bit. There are sudden drops that you can't really see depending on where you're sitting. If you sit in the front...
At the very front, it's like just enough light that maybe once your eyes adjust, you can kind of see it coming.
But if you're sitting in the back, you really have no idea what's going on. There are like architectural beams over your head in certain parts that like look like they're close to you. Like
because once you get rid of your sight, right, all the other senses are heightened,
right,
which makes it scarier. Because I'm sure if you rode that during the day with the lights on. Oh, yeah. It probably wouldn't be as scary as
this
when
is
the lights
a
are
ride
on.
that really does not go that fast. I forget the exact speed.
But it feels like
but it only goes
zooming.
You're literally only going like no faster than 30 miles per hour on that ride. Like it's really not a fast ride. But because you're in the dark, you feel like you're flying literally through space as it's intended.
Yep.
But just keep that in mind that for a young one, especially one that maybe just getting used to a roller coaster. Space Mountain is not the first roller coaster I'm putting them on. That's not the place to start. That's a good way to ruin a kid with roller coasters.
No, a good roller coaster that you can start with in Walt Disney World that they have
in Magic Kingdom.
In Magic Kingdom is the Barnstormer.
Barnstormer is a great starter. I will also say Mine Train is a good starter.
Yeah, that one is nice and smooth, not really
Thunder
bumpy.
Mountain in the front. Do not sit in the back with a new roller coaster
right
rider.
In the front of that
train. If you sit in the front row, that's a good spot to be.
Because you'll already be like halfway down the hill before it really lets go. So it doesn't get too intense. It's a theme. The most intense seat is going to be the very back for most of these things.
28.7 miles per hour is your top speed on Space Mountain. Also noted, too, though, that it doesn't go upside down. It's not an upside-down ride. It's just turns, drops, things like that.
None of these that we have said in the past go upside down.
But consider that before you put a child on that ride.
The lights, it is kind of loud in there between the clanking of other people screaming, other people. So like, there is a lot going on for sure. For sure. All right. Anything else in Magic Kingdom?
I don't think so. Do you?
I mean, I would say possibly, this is a stretch, but possibly Pirates. There are a few drops in the dark in there.
There's one drop.
Oh, I feel like there's a few.
There's only one drop.
Well, there's one drop, and it's in the dark, and there's scary skeletons and dead mermaids and stuff in the beginning. I feel like it can be a little scary.
Maybe the very first half of the ride.
Again, that first half of the ride. But just know your kid. If they know it's like, I'll pretend, they're not gonna, I mean, our son went on it. I don't think he knew at all what was going on.
But he loved it.
But he was fine
even
with
the
it.
drop, he was like, yeah.
Yeah, our son likes those thrills. But again, you know your kid. You know, like, what they'll like. But that's the only other ride that I could see dark. Pirates can be kind of scary. Mm-hmm. Then it gets lighter at the end. So, moving on. Epcot. Mission Space.
Spaceship Earth. No, I'm joking. Okay, Mission Space. I guess. I'll give it to you because I know that you do not like it. Mm. If you are claustrophobic, if you do not like the sensation of taking... I find this ride... This is such a cool ride, in my opinion.
No.
I love that sensation of, like, the G-forces and feeling like I'm actually taking off in a spaceship. Always kind of wanted to be a space.
And with these rides, I feel like in Epcot, we're going a little bit older here. So these are not going to be, like, toddler to young kid. These are going to be, like, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, I feel like, for height reasons that are going on these rides. I just feel that Mission Space tells you so many times during just the queue to turn back that it's like, make sure.
So to be fair, like,
you need to know that this is going to happen. Yeah,
like, had serious problems, i.e., no longer with us on that ride.
Yeah,
because of heart conditions and things like that.
No,
so
I understand, but it wasn't.
It's
not just health things. But if you're scared of closed spaces, if you are like anything like that, like this ride is probably not for you. Like, make sure that there is another side of the ride, the green.
There's two sides. There's an orange, which is your more intense. That one you're literally
being G-force pushed on you.
They use technology that they actually use to train astronauts in this. Like,
which is cool.
It is a spinning simulator. So the spinning motion, they spin you real fast in these simulators. And that gives you the feel, the G-forces of what it feels like taking off in a spaceship.
You don't feel like you're spinning. I'll give it that, because you don't see anything but the screen in front of you. So you don't feel like, you're being whipped in a circle. You just feel like, because you're looking at the screen, you feel like you're going up, like you're being going forward. But the other side is the same ride without the G-forces.
The video is different.
Oh, the video is a little different.
Yeah. The green mission, you orbit the Earth.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas the orange, you go to Mars. So, I love this ride. I think it is so, so, so cool. And it gives you that feel of, if you ever wanted to be an astronaut as a kid, like, you get to be an astronaut.
I mean, safe option here is to go green first. If they're absolutely fine with that, and you're like, it's going to push on you, like, it's going to feel like you're going really fast. If they're okay with that, then upgrade to the orange.
It sucks the cheek fat back, like,
yeah, like you are,
you
like,
feel G's
in there, and I did not like it. I cried,
but I can see why that would
and
be
I
scary
was like
for some.
17 years old.
Sure.
There was a reason I never went on that ride beforehand, but I wanted to ride every ride in Disney, and I have done that. So even though I don't like it, I did do it once. I won't do it again, but that's fine. Any others in Epcot?
I will say Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it's such a cool ride, but I could see why it would scare
just
a
the ride
child.
itself.
Yes. Yeah. If you're like on that
this
line.
This is a thrill intensity.
Again, this is not a first roller coaster ride.
No.
Because you are going to rotate in your chair. Like, it is awesome.
You get launched backwards.
It's so cool.
So think Rock and Roller Coaster just reversed. It's a good mix of Space Mountain and Rock and Roller Coaster with its own twisting cart. It's like all together. So you are in the dark most of the time. There are really big, I don't even know what the guy's called, because
there's an alien dude that tries to,
so it's like maybe that could be a little scary,
kill all of humanity. So that's kind of like intimidating.
That's kind of a lot. But if you know Guardians, they always have comic relief throughout the whole thing. So it is really lighthearted. It's not intense in that aspect, but it is intense of, you're going pretty fast, you're getting launched backwards, it is in the dark, you go through like light tunnels, so it can be a little bright at times. But I think that's just thrill level for that one, like thrill intensity. Not a first time roller coaster, but definitely
can be scary.
Could be scary to a young one.
Hollywood Studios.
Well, I'm gonna have to say Tower of Terror.
Well, that's the obvious one, yeah.
Again, I think this
terror
goes
is literally in the name.
I know. But I do think it's more of like, the thing that didn't, let me gather my thoughts here, because I have a lot of words trying to come out at one time. I have always been a thrill person. So the part of this ride that scared me was not the drops as a kid. The beginning part of the ride, again, lights shut off, eerie music,
ghosts,
dun dun dun, ghosts die in the elevator, come back, and they're waving to you and blah blah blah. And when you get onto the ride, you think, okay, great, I'm just gonna like go up and down, fine. No, you get off, you go through things, they have a giant eye, you stop and the people are waving to you, and you're like, this is weird, I'm kind of freaked out right now. And then you're going forward, and then you don't know when you're gonna drop, and I think that's like the anticipation part. That's the scary part. So you feel that heat, right? That's the key.
That's a good thing to tell kids.
Yeah.
Because when you get to the end, so if you're not familiar with the ride, you're going to go up, and then you're going to move forward. So you're not in one elevator
you go
shaft.
Up in an elevator.
You go up one shaft, and then you go forward, and then you're going to do your dropping in a separate elevator shaft. So as you're going forward, you're going to go by all weird things. There's like a clock. It's supposed to be like the Twilight Zone.
It's supposed to be like the Twilight Zone on the
weird,
Twilight Zone Tower of
Terror.
Kids
like singing, raining, it's pouring, kind of creepy. Then it's going to get dark, very dark. And you don't really know when you're going to drop. There's two ways to tell, and this may be a good thing to tell a kid.
Yeah.
So that way they're not so nervous about it. When you start to feel it getting warm, you can literally feel the heat. This doesn't always work in winter, but you can literally feel the heat
or you're
hitting
outside. You can feel like the difference between outside and inside.
Yes, you can feel the heat from outside hitting you. You know you're about to drop when you feel that heat.
Yeah.
Other way to tell, if you look up, not many people look up. Everybody's like kind of like, ooh, what's happening? And you always look forward. If you look up, you can actually see the elevator shaft.
Yeah, that you're entering into.
Yes. So you can literally see, like, when you stop in the elevator, like, look up and you will see it happening there. That might weird a lot of people out even more.
Don't look up. Yeah.
But if you really want to know when you're going to drop, that's a good way to tell.
And everything's different. A lot of the times you go up first and you don't drop right away. Sometimes you drop first. It all depends. So it's kind of either
no two rides are the
shoot
same.
you up
it's
first,
totally
so right as you get in, you're like, oh my god, we're gonna drop. You actually go up, and it shoots you up. So
totally random sequences.
That one. Next would be Rock and Roller Coaster for sheer ride thrill. It can be intense.
Yeah, you're going 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. So
you are being launched. This does go upside down. It does corkscrews. It is a much more intense roller coaster than any other roller coaster in Disney as far as upside down loops and all that stuff.
And it's in the dark.
And in the dark. More fun vibe, not scary dark. Neon lights like you're on a highway. So it's not scary in the dark, but it is pretty light. The signs and stuff are pretty big. So it lights up a little bit so you can see, but it's not like scary in the dark. But that one is a fun one. So that one's more of a fun, thrilling. But if they're not ready for that kind of roller coaster yet, I would say if they do pretty good on Space Mountain, they would be fine on that or Guardians.
Maybe.
Like if you wanted to upgrade a little bit from Space Mountain.
Rock and Roller Coaster is probably one of the last rides that you're going to put a kid on.
Yeah, but if they've done Space Mountain, and let's say they've done Guardians, I think they can do Rock and Roller Coaster.
But my point is, Rock and Roller Coaster is a lot more intense than Space Mountain is.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. But I mean, if they handled
Guardians
the dark...
is much closer.
Yeah. Maybe we should make a tier level.
Remember that you are going to go upside down in that one.
Yes, that one you do go upside down. You don't really see you're going upside down, that first loop, but the other ones you do.
And that is the only ride in Walt Disney World where you're going to go upside down. Yeah. So keep that in mind.
Oh, it's a fun one. It's a good one.
It's a fun
one. Any others?
Not a ride, but something to keep in mind. Phantasmic can be kind of intimidating for young people. We've told the story of your sister in Phantasmic before, I think.
Yeah.
But and there are parts of that that
3.
can be legitimately scary for younger kids.
That's a lot of villains. Villains come out. There's really large dragon head, large snake. So it can be, it's definitely villain focused, then hero focused. But the if you do hear the story, if you go back and listen to our Disney Memories episode, it wasn't those that she freaked out at. It was the very end when
they should go back and hear.
Mickey disappeared.
Make them listen to that episode.
All right.
Don't give it away.
All right, I won't give it away.
So yeah, it can be intense for kids though.
Yeah.
As a show, not a ride.
I think it's just because of the villains and the scary and the monsters and like that kind of thing. But yeah.
Okay, Animal Kingdom.
You wouldn't put Star Wars in those?
I would not. No.
No.
Okay. I don't think that the Star Wars rides are really that scary.
No, they're not scary.
I maybe Rise of the Resistance when you get captured by the First Order.
It's a little intense, like going around and pew 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 in the fight and the.
Yeah,
it's not really. I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's not.
I could see a little kid maybe being intimidated by the like officers of the First Order and like the stormtroopers. Like that part I could see.
Yeah.
Not actually on the ride, but that part when you get captured, like I could see
and
kids
Kylo
maybe
comes and talks to you, and it's like, ooh,
finding
we're
that
in prison, like
or scary.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll give you that one.
All right,
sure.
Nothing really else. So where are we going now? Animal Kingdom.
Animal Kingdom's the last park, man.
Dinosaur.
How did I know?
Dinosaur. Hear me roar. These animatronics are good, and they're lifelike, and I have a
lot of kids love dinosaurs.
A weird fear of dinosaurs. But these are scary dinosaurs. Not all of them are scary dinosaurs, but there is a scary dinosaur called the Carnotaurus who's chasing after you at one point.
Which is T-Rex adjacent, to give you an idea.
Yeah, but he's scarier than a T-Rex. He has horns.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but
Really?
that's okay. Yeah.
Oh, he has like horns. He's like
The
scary
T-Rex
looking.
in Jurassic Park or him? I'd take the T-Rex.
Well, they're like
I'd
the
take
same size.
Carnotaurus any day over the T-Rex in Jurassic Park.
Aren't they like the same size? It's like a T-Rex with horns. Isn't that more scary?
I don't know.
Well, whatever. Anyways.
It can be definitely. This is another dark ride. Things are going to pop out at you.
Jerk
you get
you around.
Caught in the middle of a asteroid storm that kills all the dinosaurs. So
Trying to get it out. They're not going to make it.
yeah,
We made it. As you make it.
you make it every
Weirdly
time.
enough.
But that
There are
definitely
parts
can
that-
be intimidating for younger kids.
Yeah. The chasing after you part and then where they take the picture, you stop in front of a big Carnotaurus head. And it's like, and it's taking your picture. And it's like, I want it to keep going. I don't want it to stop there. I just keep moving forward. And it doesn't. And then right at the end, it kind of like comes towards you as you're like going down. Yeah, I think even if you like dinosaurs, they are scary dinosaurs. Some kids might love it. If they really love dinosaurs, if they've seen Jurassic Park and they're fine with it, then great. If they haven't, might be a little intense.
One might want to approach this ride with some caution.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like to give everything away, but I think a helpful hint would be maybe to watch. Dark rides are hard to watch because you can't really see everything in it. But if you wanted to have your kid watch a POV of the ride or something, they don't get the intensity of it, but at least they kind of know what's going to happen. And it doesn't seem so like surprising to them if it's like something that you're like priming them for it. But I think that takes it away a little bit of the surprises.
Everest, I think, is one
Yeah.
to keep in mind. You are going to go backwards on this ride in the dark, and there is a massive Yeti at the end of the ride. So, like, just in and of itself, like, that can be kind of
And
scary.
you don't go upside down, even though you feel like you go upside down.
And this is one of the more... this is my favorite ride in Walt Disney World. Still is. But I can... If you're going on it with a younger kid, you are going to the Forbidden Mountain, and a Yeti is going to chase you. And you're going to go backwards in the dark, and there's a whole series of things. So approach that one with caution as well, because I do think that a child could find that one scary.
Yes. Of intensity. And maybe the Yeti.
Yeah.
Would be a little scary.
Last one in Animal Kingdom
Are you
that I
going
want
to say
to
Flight of
say
Passage?
is no.
Oh. I feel like that one could be intense.
Again, not really a ride, more of a show and experience. It's A Bug's Life. As a child,
I feel like I've blocked that out of my memory because I have never done it.
Visceral memories as a child of being petrified of that ride, that show.
That show. You didn't want to be stung in the butt?
When
Or
Hopper
back.
comes out and
He's
like
scary.
the bugs start like stinging you in the back,
Crawling underneath your bum.
No, like not for me. I have never gone on that since I was little. I would stand up on that ride, on that show, like because the chairs would like poke you when you get stung and like.
Yeah, nope. All set.
Never again will I ever ride that. Watch that show. I keep saying ride. Watch that show.
Yeah.
Petrified me as a like 8-year-old. So
You don't like bugs. It is creepy crawly. So like if they don't like bugs to begin with,
95% of the show is great.
yeah,
It's that 5%
it's very at the end.
that
So
is
if you do want to do this show, right when after Hopper comes out and he goes, "We're gonna get these humans," like blah blah blah, we're gonna attack them. When he comes out, literally just start squatting above your chair or pick up your child, or stand up if you're in the back, because it's gonna happen. And if people start looking at you like, "Why is she standing up?" Like, don't know. You'll find out in a second. Because then everybody goes, "Ooh, ah, ew, ah." It's like, it's kind of gives you
totally irrational fear, but a fear that I have. So
no,
I can
bugs
see
are a
it
real
scaring
thing.
kids.
Dinosaurs is irrational. There are no dinosaurs.
Whatever.
I mean, maybe alligators and crocodiles are dinosaurs. So they are real.
Birds.
Yeah, but that's not a Carnotaurus. Different.
It's true.
All right, do you think we got all of them?
I think that those are the scariest rides in Disney that you should consider before, like, do your homework on them. Talk to your kids before you ride those rides, because it could go one of two ways. Either they're going to love them and be okay with them, or it could scar them for the rest of their lives.
Like us.
Bug's
and
Life.
even though I hate that ride, I do go on Dinosaur every single time. And I don't like it. And I don't know why I do it, but I feel like I have to.
Because I call you a baby for not going
Probably.
on it, probably.
So I'm like, all right, fine, I have to go. And then
it's definitely peer pressure for me.
we already have the photo of our last trip of me on there. So if you check out our social media, it's on there. And you can just...
It's hilarious.
Yep.
It's really why we do it. For
I should just
pictures.
post all of them in a row and be like, every time I'm making the same face, even though
I always lose feeling.
I
in my
know
arm on
when
this
it's
ride.
coming,
It
so
just
I don't know
squeezes
why
my
I'm
arm so tight.
Yeah, it's bad. I was with my sister next to that one. She was like, "You need to let go of me," and I was like, I even strategically picked my seat so I am not
To be
closest.
far away from the carnivores.
So I know I'm not going to be right there. But
Can I just give one more shout out? No longer a ride in Walt Disney World. Still, I believe, a ride, though, in Disneyland.
Okay.
Snow White's Scary Adventure. That and Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Yeah.
Those two rides, Mr. Toad still is in play. I think both Scary Adventure, I think they're both still at Disneyland.
Yeah.
But these were two rides that were also at the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World.
Even Alice in Wonderland is a little creepy.
Man, dude, Snow White's Scary Adventure was legitimately scary.
Adventure. It's scary.
It was not a roller coaster.
No.
It's where I think where the princesses meet now is where it used to be.
Yep.
Man, that ride as a
Scary.
child, scary. No longer there, so you don't have to worry about it. If you go to Disneyland, I think you still do have to worry about it. And then Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, by and large, not scary, except for when you get hit by a train and you go to hell, literally. Yeah, not cool.
Literally?
And you can definitely ride Mr. Toad's in Disneyland.
Yeah.
You can ride both of them in Disneyland. They're both still
We could do another one on scary rides in Disneyland, too.
That's true.
Because they are a little different over there, or they don't have the ones that we're talking about here in Walt Disney World.
Sure.
So it is a little different. So, but yeah, definitely something to keep in mind with young ones, even like the school-aged kids, I would say up until like 10 years old, just to keep in mind that it's not all butterflies and rainbows and fairy tales and princesses. Sometimes it can be a little intense. So just keeping that in mind before you go on that crazy adventure. And hopefully don't scar them for life. We don't want that to happen.
Or do, if you want. Who knows?
Or tell them they have to.
I think a little bit of fear is good for kids. Anyways, we want to thank you for listening to this episode. As always, follow us on our social media accounts. If you have any questions or comments, send us an email at startswithawish.podcast@gmail.com. And remember, folks, it all starts with a wish. We'll see you real soon.
Bye.